Hello friends, welcome to the summary scene. Today, we are going to talk about the book Stop Talking, Start Doing by Shaa Wasmund. Neeti, a 22-year-old girl, lived in a small town where people had big dreams, but very few mustered the courage to achieve them. Neeti, too, had a habit of starting her day full of enthusiasm, making her daily to-do list, only to leave it incomplete by evening. Her favorite nightly phrase was, "Everything will change from tomorrow." One day, her best friend Ria visited her. Ria was always positive and practical. She said to Neeti, "You're always talking big, but you never act. Here, read this book. It might help you." Ria pulled out a book from her bag titled Stop Talking, Start Doing, a kick in the pants in 6 parts. Neeti looked at it and laughed sarcastically, saying, "What's this? Motivational nonsense?" Ria looked her straight in the eyes and said, "Just read it once. Read the first chapter and see if it teaches you something. If it doesn't, don't bother reading the rest." That night, when everyone was asleep, Neeti's curiosity got the better of her. She opened the book. On the first page, it was written, "The importance of taking action." She began reading. The introduction explained how people talk endlessly about their dreams and goals but seldom take action to achieve them. Everyone thinks they'll change everything one day, but that day never comes. As she read, Neeti started reflecting on her own habits. A line in the book struck her. The discomfort of starting something new is temporary, but the regret of not starting lasts forever. This line resonated deeply with her. She thought, "This is my story." Neeti had always been afraid to try something new, whether it was enrolling in a new course, starting a pending project, or beginning her fitness journey. There was a story in the book about someone who spent years thinking about an idea but never executed it. When they saw someone else succeed with the same idea, the regret was unbearable. Neeti realized that could be her if she didn't act on her ideas. She told herself, "If I don't do anything now, 5 years from now, I'll still be thinking, I wish I had started back then." As she continued reading, something inside her began to change. On one page, she read, "Start small, but start today." She thought, "I may not take a big step, but I can do something." That night, she took an old notebook from her desk and wrote down all her goals. On one page, she wrote, 1. Start my fitness journey. 2. Complete a digital marketing course. 3. Create a plan for my small business. Then she read another line in the book. Break your goals into actionable steps. Big dreams need small actions every day. She broke her big goals into smaller tasks. For fitness, her first step was to walk for 10 minutes daily. For digital marketing, she decided to watch one 20-minute video each day. The next morning, when her alarm rang, for the first time, she didn't hit snooze. She got up, put on her shoes, and stepped out for a walk. That was her first step. She felt it was a small action, maybe insignificant, but deep down, it made her feel proud. After returning home, she made notes from the book and watched 3 YouTube videos. She had set a goal for the day, and she achieved it. This small accomplishment felt like a major victory for her. That night, as she went to bed, she said to herself, "I actually did something today." It might be a small step, but perhaps it's the beginning of something big. The book mentioned another important point. Don't wait for the perfect moment because it doesn't exist. The perfect moment is now. Neeti realized how many times she had waited for the perfect time, but now she understood that perfection is just an illusion. In the following days, she began making small changes to her daily routine. She would wake up, go for a walk, read a book, and work on her goals. She noticed that as she started taking action, small positive changes began to appear in her life. One day, she finally started working on her business idea. She had always dreamed of starting a small handmade products brand, but doubted she could ever manage such a big venture. Now, she thought, why not start on a small scale? She shared her plans on social media, telling her friends about her first product launch. On the very first day, she received 2 orders. As days went by, Neeti realized that taking action boosted her confidence. She felt this was just the beginning. After finishing the first chapter of the book, she was ready to dive into the next chapter. She promised herself that she wouldn't just dream anymore, but take steps every day to turn her dreams into reality. Her fears were gradually fading, and she felt excited about what lay ahead. She realized that her life was in her hands, and it all started that one night when she decided to read the book. Facing Fear versus Regret. When she started reading the next chapter, Fear versus Regret, Neeti came to terms with a major truth about her life. The book explained that many people abandon their goals and dreams because of their fear of failure. However, the real fear should not be of failure, but of the regret that comes from not trying. This struck a chord with Neeti. Memories of her school days resurfaced. Back in 11th grade, she had signed up for an inter-school debate competition. She believed she would give her best on stage. But as the competition day drew closer, fear started gripping her. What if I stammer on stage? What if everyone laughs at me? Unable to handle the fear, she withdrew her name. Even years later, the regret of not participating haunted her. What if I had tried? Maybe I could have won, she often thought. The regret of that moment still troubled her. The book stated, fear is temporary, but regret lasts forever. Neeti took a deep breath and continued reading. There was a story about a man who hid his talent for years, fearing judgment from others. But in his old age, he regretted not sharing his art with the world. Neeti felt this story mirrored her own life. That night, she asked herself, how many times have I let fear control my life? How many times have I prepared myself for regret instead of action? The next morning, Neeti decided to confront her fears while continuing her daily routine. She thought, if I start working on the things that scare me, maybe I can avoid future regrets. She pulled out her diary and listed the things she feared the most. 1. Public speaking. 2. Showcasing her art in front of people. 3. Sharing her ideas with others. The book taught her to break down big fears into smaller, manageable tasks. She decided to start with public speaking. I'm not stepping onto a big stage, she told herself. I'll just practice a little every day. She recorded a video on her phone, talking about her day. It felt awkward, and she had to retake it 2 or 3 times. But when she watched the final video, she felt proud. It's not perfect, but I did it, she told herself. Next, she took photos of her artwork and, for the first time, shared them online, taking risks and opportunities. One line from the book stayed with her. Risk is where the opportunity lies. Inspired, she decided to push her small business further. She applied to showcase her products at local exhibitions. Initially, fear crept in. What if people don't like my products? But she reminded herself that regret is worse than fear. A week later, Neeti set up her first exhibition. Many people visited her stall. Some purchased her products, and others praised her designs. One woman told her, "Your design is so beautiful. I'm buying this for my daughter." The compliment brought tears of joy to Neeti's eyes. That night, she wrote in her diary, "Today, I faced my fear, and the result was so beautiful that I can't even put it into words." As days passed, Neeti realized that fear would always be there, but facing it made it weaker. The book emphasized fear thrives on inaction. The more you avoid it, the stronger it gets. She learned that the best way to overcome fear is to do the very thing that scares you. One day, she reflected on her past regret of not participating in the debate competition. I can't go back in time, she thought, but I can change today. She decided to join a local public speaking workshop. On the first day, when she was called onto the stage, her hands trembled. But she told herself, I won't let fear win. She started speaking slowly. It wasn't perfect, but she gave her best. When she stepped off the stage, people applauded. That feeling was nothing short of a victory. This chapter had transformed Neeti's perspective. She now understood that fear shouldn't come from failure, but from regret. She resolved to seize every opportunity to improve her life. She started reading the next chapter of the book, knowing that every page would make her stronger. She needed to update her website, but kept postponing it. Finally, she asked herself, why do I keep delaying this? Slowly, the answer became clear. She had been avoiding working on client proposals because she feared they might not be perfect. She skipped going to the gym because, while she was excited to start, she was overwhelmed at the thought of maintaining consistency. She hadn't updated her website because she spent too much time scrolling through social media. The book she was reading stated, awareness is the first step to breaking the cycle of procrastination. She realized she needed to identify her distractions and eliminate them. The next day, she made a plan. The first step was digital detox. Her phone was her biggest distraction. She had developed the habit of checking social media every 10 minutes. She deleted some apps and set time limits for others. Additionally, she decided to keep her phone in another room while working on important tasks. The second step was breaking tasks into smaller parts. The book suggested dividing large tasks into smaller chunks to make them less overwhelming. She divided her client proposal into 3 parts: research, drafting, and final presentation. She planned to work on one part each day. The third step was developing the habit of taking action. She realized her biggest excuse for not going to the gym was the fear that she wouldn't stay consistent, which made her feel like it would be pointless. However, the book encouraged her to focus on starting small. She promised herself she'd go to the gym for just 15 minutes on the first day. She didn't put any pressure on herself, and once she started exercising, she realized it wasn't as hard as she had imagined. By the third day, she noticed she was starting to form the habit of going to the gym. She remembered another quote from the book, "Don't aim for perfection, aim for progress." This motivated her to update just one section of her website, which she had avoided because of the fear of imperfection. After completing the section, she praised herself for at least starting. As she eliminated distractions and began taking small actions, her procrastination started to fade. The book also said, create an environment that supports your goals. To apply this, she decluttered her workspace, removed unnecessary items, and kept a simple to-do list with only 3 priority tasks for the day. This gave her clarity on what she needed to accomplish. One day, when she reviewed her list, she realized she had completed her priority tasks almost every day. This was a big win for her. Removing distractions and prioritizing tasks made her more productive. She also adopted the advice, celebrate small wins. They motivate you to keep going. She rewarded herself for completing a proposal on time with a nice cup of coffee. And after a week of consistently going to the gym, she bought herself new exercise gear. These small rewards kept her motivated. Her friend Diksha visited one day and remarked, "I don't know how you've done it, but you've completely changed. You used to procrastinate on everything, and now you handle everything so efficiently."